Hi everyone, welcome to the retail team demo. We'll talk about some of the stuff we've done. It's been a long time since we've done a demo because we had the holidays and stuff. I think it's been a while since I've seen anybody do any demo. So we'll just do a couple of things. The first is we've done a significant amount of automated testing. I guess before I say that, most of what we worked on is the new certificate, so Cert 3.0, and we did the custom version, which we demoed before, but over the holidays, we did quite a bit of testing. So one of the things we did was view testing, which Matt helped us out with, and he was here for when we did some of our end-to-end testing. So I'll just show you that. The view testing, it's really hard to cover right now, but it gives us a lot better coverage of the application holistically. There's a lot of logic in those views we don't want to break. So the second thing is end-to-end tests, which I'll kick off right now. So there we go. Boom, done. And looks like that passes. So another thing we did was, as we were implementing this, we decided to do some API tests, right? So our API tests helped us to basically keep the contract of what we expect in dev to remain the same. And they, while we were developing, helped us out a lot because we would catch errors between the API itself and our Angular app. And these are written in Angular using a Jasmine node. And so I'll kick off these. Now these ran super fast because we were able to build basically a mock API so that we can work locally without having to be VPN'd, which is really cool. And the cool thing about this is it's the same test, and now I can point this actually at dev, and then we can run the same test against dev. You know, so kind of making sure that our mock and the dev API remain consistent together, which is pretty cool. Those might take a little while. But so that's it for testing wise, and we did a lot of refactoring, which I think we're going to do a dev meeting to cover. So the next thing is feature work that we've done. We actually got a lot accomplished just within the last few weeks. So we're trying to get Sephora, or actually some of our biggest brands, live so that we can get some of the performance gains. And one of the things we're doing is we're switching them over to basically what our old cert looks like to the same thing so that we can do it without hitting brand approval. Brand approval is like this big scary thing that could take months and involves a lot of people. So if we can make it sort of invisible for everybody, then we get a lot more people switched over. Yes? Are trying to what? The Google Hangouts should be going right now. No, it's okay. Okay.
So there's no conference call?
Yeah, there's no conference call. I did a Google Hangout and I updated the meeting event with a link to it. So you should be able to go to the link and then open up and either watch YouTube or...
Is it streaming?
It is streaming right now. So yay. There's a little bit of a delay, so they won't hear what I'm saying right now for like 30 seconds. Ha. Okay, so how many people are familiar with how the sync process works? Okay, it's like half. Some people are like, right? Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem with the sync process, and what we're looking at here is a screen in admin that, you know, there's got these little sync buttons. The way we set it up in admin is we have what's called a master business unit, which kind of represents a brand, right? And then we have a bunch of linked business units that represent, like, you know, channels that will host that brand, like, product stuff, right? So we, when doing the new cert, we actually wanted to avoid the sync process. And so one of the things we did is it helps to understand how people benefit from the sync process in order to know how we should move away from it. And one of the things that we needed to keep with the sync process is sort of this approval stage where you modify this template, you know, and then you get approval from the brands before you actually sync it to everyone else. So here's kind of our workflow for setting this up. So I'm going to go to we've got one in dev that's like Lowe's. Sure.
So I think part of the big issue with sync we originally wanted to avoid is in order to support being able to use this across a bunch of different channels, sync is needed to sync the new cert down to all these different child business units. We had to support that, otherwise it had to be a manual process. So we wanted to support that ability, but we didn't want to support the way sync works right now, which is basically copying data all the way down to these different business units. So I think the team came up with a pretty cool way to achieve the same thing without using sync for everything and not having to change from outside.
So hopefully what I'll show you is kind of demonstrates what we did. If for those of you that haven't seen, so we jump into the business unit and then you go to this thing called the partner website gift offering. And then inside of there are the details for any of your cert configurations. If this loads, okay, cool. So right here we've got VC settings, and here we go. So I'm gonna set this to cert 3.0 up here. I don't know how many people can actually see that. All right, so I set this to cert 3.0 right here. I'm gonna get back to that button. There we go. And then I'm gonna save that. And this is on the master business unit, which is essentially equivalent to the brand. And then here, I'm just going to sync one of these guys. So I've set that up, and now that I've set that to T3, you can sync all of them. I will just sync one of them. Actually, before I do that, let's look at what the, so this is what the cert example looks like with T3. Is that going to be T3? Let's see. Okay, so this is actually the T3 one. Let me change this back real quick to the, well, you'll be able to see it when we look at like this child guy. So I'm going to grab this guy right here, and we're going to just go at least look at the what it looks like today. Okay, so one of the key things that we needed to do is this sample link basically gets sent out, and it's what we use in our approval process. So this link is already in a bunch of our emails that people will go to approve any changes for the brand before we actually sync them out, to be used by all the channels that have it set up. So we didn't want to lose that by just having it so, we made it so that, okay, you set up a brand configuration, basically a brand cert, and that works for everyone, but then that would be live for everyone. So we had to basically do this sync process. So I've got this guy up. So this is the one of the linked buns, right? And then this is one of the, this is the master, essentially. So I'm going to log in to the master. And this is our cert editor. So it's a custom editor right now. This isn't something that Ops is meant to update. For now, it's just to sort of streamline the process for us for handling custom certs. But as you can see here, we got the HTML, CSS. Some of the styling has been redone by Andrew, and so it looks a little bit better. This versions right here will open up any previously saved versions, so we can kind of switch between those. And I'll show you what that looks like. We're working on the Sephora stuff, and so I'll just grab this. Lauren's helping us out with that. Both Lauren and Andrea have worked on this. So CSS. All right, and go to the HTML and paste that in. Okay, cool. That looks pretty familiar, right? This kind of style, it's our old cert template. So I'm gonna go ahead and publish this. All right. Now, once I publish this, let's which one is this? Okay, so now I can look at the cert example here, and this is what I see. So this is for the master bun. If I go over here and I refresh, this is still the same thing. So right now we're in a spot where this stuff has been published. The reason it's not showing up is because we haven't synced all this data down, right? So sync basically just takes any data that's in this business unit, that's the master template, and just copies it to any linked business units. Now obviously this has problems because if we have something linked and we need to change some property on it, well then we've got to have a different process. We pull it out of the link scenario, and that's one of the biggest problems with sync. So I'm going to go ahead and sync this, and all this is going to do is push the update so that it's now using T3. And when I refresh this, here we are. So this is a linked business unit, and now it's pulling its cert configuration from the basically that master bun configuration that we just created. So if we wanted to make a change to this, right? Let's say I'm going to do something destructive just so it's obvious. But let's say we took out that for whatever reason. Let's maybe take out the gift card image. That'll be more fun. So that's gone, right? Like that's a good idea. So now I'm going to save this, okay? Because we have to get approval from the brand. So I'm going to save this, and it tells me to enter a comment. So because, all right? So now if we look in the version history, you'll see that we've published once, right? And now we've got a new one, version history that's basically, the user that did the update and the comment. So if we wanted to, we could easily switch back and forth between those to, see what they look like. But notice that we only saved, right? So if I go to this sample link, we see that it's updated already, right? So this sample link will go out in the email, and everyone will see the changes that we currently have saved for the master business unit, right? Here, if I refresh this, it's still the same, all right? So say we thought, okay, well, actually we need to needed that, okay? So I can either save this, and it'll show up here in the versions. Again, that's the same. And then when I'm ready and I've got brand approval, I can publish it. We've got a little message in here. Are you sure published changes are visible to customers? So hopefully that makes it clear that even though we're moving away from this idea of sync and we're calling it publish, that it's clear sort of what we're doing there, and that these changes that you made will be visible. So here we go. I published those changes, and now if I look at this, yo, we've got that, and then this matches as well. So I think that's it. So do we have any questions?
Oh, the important thing to notice about what we've done is we've not copied any data down to the linked business units at all. It's referencing the master, and that's how we're maintaining old sync functionality without any of the duplication aspect.
Right. So we're not actually copying data anymore. What we're doing is we're creating a difference between data that is ready to be seen by customers and data that needs to get approved. And so if you save, you have basically made it so that the sample cert link will show whatever you've saved. But if it's ready for customers, then you publish it, and then everyone can see it. And at some point, we'll show you, hopefully, some overrides is what we're working on to get towards templates. But everything right now is custom certs. So at this point, we just have a few brands lined up that we're trying to switch over, and hopefully that goes well. And as you can see, if we have to change anything, it should be fairly easy for us to jump in and fix anything immediately. So the latency on or turnaround on being able to solve some of these problems is really low. So, which is really great for us, because otherwise, the old way, we had to go through a lot of process just to see these changes and get them out there, and get them vetted. So any other questions? You had a question? Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess if you guys have any other questions later, let me know. But
Is it worth mentioning that whole moving process? So that way you don't have to.
well, one of the things we want to end up doing is solving some of the link or some of the sync problems. And I mean, basically, instead of copying, you could think of it as layers, and you'll have brand data, and then you'll have a layer over that, which would be like a channel layer. And if they have a deviation in their cert configuration, then you change just that aspect of it, and then you can update the brand information, and it won't overwrite that information at another level, because what we do is we take these same set of fields, right, layers of them, and we flatten them into a single configuration that the cert uses, which I think is a much more intuitive way of handling some of the scenarios that we're trying to support. So
Absolutely. From my perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, Deirdre, but I think the number one reason we use the sync functionality is cert updates. And unfortunately, when you sync, like you've mentioned a couple times, it's not just cert data that publishes or gets written down, it's every piece of data in that business unit. So simply having this change is going to be a significant impact on the repeated processes of operations that have been necessary up until now. So I think this is fantastic.
cool.
Great work.
Thanks, man. That's it.
Nice job, guys.
So how much faster is